Good. This time I've got a very interesting question. And it didn't start with silly Christian, so I will paste that one in front of it. So here we go. Silly Christian, does God even bother about our carbon footprint? Oh wow, that's a real interesting question, isn't it? And the short answer is yes. So that's it for today. You can go and watch something else now. Bye. Excuse me, what was that? Not satisfying enough? Okay, well, there is a slightly longer answer as well. You see, God is the creator of all things, and as such, he is concerned about the world. We can read the creation account in the book called Genesis. And it is very interesting to read how intentionally and specific he created and formed the world and everything on it. Finally, we can see that he also created Adam and Eve. He looked at his work and he labeled it as very good. And just by this last statement alone, you can see that the world and everything on it matters to him. God told Adam and Eve to take care of the earth. They had to tend to its need. But instead of obeying God, they actually ignored his word and they started to live for their own enjoyment. Sin came into the world, and not long after we can read that we, humans, would only live by the sweat of our brow. You can read that in Genesis 3 verse 19. By the sweat of your brow you will eat your food until you return to the ground. Everything Adam and Eve had to do became hard work. Still, as tenants of God's earth, we have to look after it. This is not debatable. The Bible is pretty clear on this. People, for example, are not allowed to mistreat animals. A righteous man regardeth the life of his beast, but the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. Or how about this one? If you see the donkey of one who hates you lying down under its burden, you shall refrain from leaving him with it. You shall rescue it with him. The Bible also states that vegetation and trees are to be protected, even in wartime. Other ancient Near East societies systematically cut down whole orchards and burned crops of the enemy to make sure they would run out of food. But in Deuteronomy we can read, when you besiege a city for a long time, making war against it in order to take it, you shall not destroy its trees by wielding an axe against them. You may eat from them, but you shall not cut them down. Are the trees in the field human, that they should be besieged by you? However, we need to remember that people are more important for God than things. Even more important than his own creation. We see an example of God's love for people in the story of Jonah. This prophet had to warn the people of Nineveh against God's wrath. Jonah sat down and expected God to destroy Nineveh. The plant that kept Jonah out of the burning sun withered, and we see that Jonah was more concerned with the plant than with the people of Nineveh. The Lord God said in Jonah 4, "You are concerned about a vine that you did not plant or take care of, a vine that grew up in one night and died the next. In that city of Nineveh, there are more than 120,000 people who cannot tell right from wrong, and many cattle are also there. Don't you think I should be concerned about that big city?" The fact that God is more concerned with people should not make us think that he doesn't care about the way we live our lives. It cannot be right that people in one part of the world waste all resources while people in other parts endure hardships like sickness or starvation. Again, the Bible's teaching is clear on this. Prophet says this, "Whoever closes his ear to the cry of the poor will himself call out and not be answered." And how about Isaiah? "If you pour yourself out for the hungry and satisfy the desire of the afflicted, then shall your light rise in the darkness, and your gloom be as the noonday." So yes, God is concerned with us and the rest of his creation. We see his concern through his promise to create a new earth. You see, this world has become corrupt to the bone. No denying about that. Sure, good things happen all the time, but it's not nearly as beautiful as in the beginning. God's promise to make everything new is very important for Christians, but it is not a wild card to do whatever Christians want to do. Christians are called to honor God through their lifestyles. That means that Christians should care for the environment. However, this care should come forth out of love for God. The climate change lobby is not focused on God's honor. It has become a religion in itself. Worshipping anything else than God is considered blasphemy. So Christians need to get their priorities straight. Mark 8 verse 36 says this, "For what does it benefit a man to gain the whole world with all its pleasures and forfeit his soul?" So it is fine to take care of your surroundings, to separate your waste and not eat too much meat, for example. This is good. It's also good to help with good initiatives regarding the poor, etc. It's all good, but don't forget to honor and glorify your Creator. Trust in His Son, Jesus Christ, and you too will one day enjoy life on the new, perfect earth. And it is very interesting. And you see, just by this last statement, you can see that the world matters to him. It's een heel slecht eerste stuk. Or how about this one? If you see the donkey of one you hate, no. You might want to stay tuned for the next video as well, because I've got a question about capitalism. That's going to be a very nice one. Are Christians against capitalism? Are Christians called to be socialists? That's an interesting one. I need to think about that one.